I've had a couple of people, would you recommend an ayahuasca journey? And I said no.
Yeah. People are like, how was your experience? Best experience of my life. So you'd recommend? I'm like, no, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
We talk about this in life, your unique gifts, but what the fuck does that look like? Well, I saw what it looked like. It's not about a fancy fucking fireball, though I'm pretty good at that these days, but it's actually about fully permission to be yourself. And yes, including all of your fucking conditioning, because that's what's here right now, right?
Immediately a memory comes that I was completely oblivious to when I was a kid. And this memory explained why I had this physical issue, but it also explained everything about my family and the relationships of all the members of my family.
Make love and gentleness the new wave. Hashtag that, fuckers. There you go.
Welcome to Raw, Real, and Radiant with Claire Poho, the podcast where we ditch perfection and performance and come back to what's true, what's alive, and what's radiant. In today's episode, I'm joined by my friend Ian, a fellow coach, space holder, and someone I shared a totally unexpected medicine journey with here in Colombia. This conversation was recorded a couple of months after we both sat in the jungle with ayahuasca. This episode is not some sort of a polished guide where we pretend to know what actually goes down once we drink the medicine. It's rather a very raw conversation about the mystery of plant medicine, about complete surrender, feeling cracked open, and the moments that rearrange your nervous system in ways that you just can't unfeel. And yeah, sometimes you don't know what to do with these moments. But before we get into the depth, let me tell you how it all happened. This is actually quite a funny story. So I think we've known each other for like 3 years now.
Yep.
Online, right? So Ian lives in Australia. And a few months back, Ian texts me like, where in Colombia do you live? And I'm like, why? He was coming to Colombia to participate in a plant medicine journey that I participated in the year before. That's how I originally arrived to Colombia. And then I ended up staying and now I'm still living here. And then he was like, is there a way I could see you? And I was like, oh my God, like you're traveling all the way from Australia. That would be really nice to see him. But then I was like, I live on the other side of the country. It's not exactly close, right? And he would be landing late at night and then leaving for the jungle around noon the next day. So I was like, it's not really worth it for me to fly over and then come back just to give you a quick hug. And then he texted me again a few days later. So is there no way I can see you? And then I was like, God damn it. He asked twice. I need to give this man a hug. What do I have to lose? I'll just fly over and say hi. And then I ended up joining him and the group for plant medicine, which wasn't planned. So that was quite the journey. I am really, really curious about his experiences. And welcome on the podcast. What led you to say yes to this experience? You traveled so far across the world, spent a significant amount of money to come here and participate in this crazy, crazy experience. So I'm just curious if you can share with us why. Why did you say yes?
I came for the hug. Oh, actually hugs. I got to hug a few people that I'd known for 3 or so years that joined the journey. So why did I go? As they say, got a nudge, got a feeling, intuitive hit. I don't like the word hit, but I've never had an interest in plant medicine at all, ever. Never had an interest. And I remember it clearly, the last Intuitive Mind event that we went to, which was a weekend meditation thing for those listening. It's quite a deep, beyond the mind weekend. And I remember walking out of that and I said to my wife, I think I might go and do an ayahuasca journey. And I remember her saying, that's interesting. Because during the last meditation, I got the vision of you walking down to my office telling me that you're going to go and do a plant medicine journey. And because I've never had any interest in it before, ever, I just had no interest. So then I reached out to the guys running it. And when they're clear like that for me, I just follow them. That's what called me to go.
Yeah, but have you thought about it? Like, were you thinking about it before? Or did you kind of consider, was it in your, no, never?
No, had no interest in doing
Wow.
that. No interest whatsoever. Had no interest. I mean, I know the guys that used to run them every year, and I'm like, not called, not interested. It just had nothing. Just had no. And I follow a guy online that's done hundreds of them and whatever, and and he's still a bit of a mess, and I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't solve all of our problems. So, yeah, I had no interest or no attention or anything on it at all until I did. So then I went, beauty. And then, the flow-on effect, it was beautiful to see you in person and to hug you. And then one of the other ladies that came from Canada, who's also a good friend through this journey, and she wasn't going to go this year or last year. She was planning on going this year, and then I mentioned I was going, and then we mentioned that one of the other people that had done an advanced training with us was going. So it just sort of, it was so beautiful to be able to hug people in person. That added to my experience to travel all that way, to just actually hug and meet people in person that I'd known online for 3 or 4 years was just quite, was so special. It was so special.
Yeah, I can attest to that. It's one thing to do medicine, but it's another thing to see people that you've developed really deep personal relationships online and you've never seen them in person because they live on the other side of the world. But at the same time, it is so real and it is so personal, and it's honest, like it's not just some shallow internet stuff, because the nature of the work that we do and the nature of the community that we are part of, that is truly special. So I can totally understand that extra motivation. So you never thought about doing medicine, and then it just sort of popped into your mind. So what were your thoughts? Like, was there any resistance, any stories like, why would I do this?
No, I didn't. No, nothing. Had to work out how to fund it because travelling from this way, the exchange rate's not brilliant at the moment. No, I think for me, once I make decisions like that, it's quite clear that uh, anything that pops up just moves through quickly, so I don't notice it as much. And you know what that points to is probably a lot of work that I've done previously, where I went to spiritual retreats for 7 years running of a particular type here in Australia. I did a deepening every year, and every year I fucking resisted it for 12 months. And to the point that I say spiritual mentor, one of our mentors, just used to leave a spot open, knowing that eventually at the last minute I'd say, yeah, I'd come. I'd resist for like 11 months. Nah, I'm not going to do it. Nah, I don't want to do it. Nah, not doing that shit again. Can't explain it. Blah, blah, blah. Until the last year, after I finished one, then I messaged her and went, I'll see you next year. Can you book me a spot? It was, my resistance was so good that one of the years I went, I ended up there in the 4 day retreat, so sick I was coughing up blood that all I could do was lie on the floor and get the healing from everybody in the group for 4 days.
Wow.
So I guess I've done a lot of work around resistance, that when I'm making a decision like this, there's less of it because I just know, well, the decision's made, we're going. So I guess it points to that a little bit, that once you've, I actually, it's really really good for me to recognize that, because I don't know, on this journey, sometimes I loop back into what the fuck's the point of all this? I feel like you're doing the same stuff over and over again and sort of caught in the inner work hamster wheel and not going anywhere. But so that's a really good reminder that it took me years to work through resistance.
Yeah.
So that one's for me, to remind myself of what the things that do change are not normally fanfare-y, despite what the internet says.
I love that got an intuitive hit and I just booked a flight, spent this amount of money and just flew across the world and did this thing. And for most people listening, I think it's not that easy to do something like that, right? But it just really pinpoints the amount of work that you've done. Like you say, you now shared about the resistance, but once you've had a certain experience a certain amount of times, and you just eventually learn to surrender to the experience and be like, okay, there may be resistance, but it's just gonna keep coming into my field, and either I say yes to an experience now and I just go through it, or I'm gonna keep resisting and it's gonna keep banging on my door. Is actually similar for me. I also decided to go the year before you, and then I started having doubts and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go. And then one day in the summer I was just sitting in meditation, and out of nowhere thought comes, you have to go and meet this person. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Maybe I'm crazy, but I need to make a decision anyway. So let's just try to listen to this crazy voice and see where it takes me. And a year and a half later, I'm still here in Colombia. It was the best decision I've ever made. And I'm like, thank God I listened to that crazy voice in my head.
The crazy one is much more fun.
So I'm curious, it's been 3 months since you came back. I'm curious, do you feel different? Just to preface, some people go and do one ceremony. That's not how we do it. We do 4 full day ceremonies, and then people layer it with kambo, which is frog poison medicine, and other things. So It's a really deep detox to unplug and you replug something new, but to each their own. Everybody has a very different experience. For me personally, it was an extremely discombobulating experience where 2 months into the integration, I had a week when every day I was like, I'm going insane. I'm not okay. Somebody please help me. So I'm curious, Ian, how has it been going for you? How have you been integrating? Do you feel like you're a different person? What would you say?
What would I say? Fuck. So
No pressure.
no, 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 no. I find it funny because you see, like some people that do it. I went and did one ceremony. My whole life changed. I
Right,
uprooted this, and and I'm
right,
going, nah, that's not how it works for me.
right.
So I think the first note coming back, the first thing I said to my wife was, I just said, "What do you notice?" So she does some coaching. She's got her own process. I said, "What do you feel? What do you notice?" And the first thing she said was, "You're softer." And the second thing she said is that there's a depth to you and this house now that I've never felt before, which scared her a little bit.
Wow.
Now that makes sense. That rings true for me for the journey over there. I actually, and I don't know whether people talk about this at all, I'm not sure, but it's actually been quite disorientating for me. What I experienced over there to then come back into real life, whatever that means, it was actually quite disorientating. Go, fuck, now that I've seen that, now what the fuck? Like, what, how do I, like, I still don't 100% know what I learnt. I know that I've changed. You can't not change from an experience like that, right? It's just the whole system changes. It opens something up, something else changes, right? I've had some meditation journeys that I've just done some stuff that I'm like, wow, this like that's new. So yeah, so it's the disorientation that now I have some tools, I have some skills, I have some good support network to help me look at that and just be okay. Okay, feeling a bit how the fuck, like what does this all mean now? Like it's like things change, right? So yeah, mine's not a wrap it in a bow and here's a present. This is what it looks like. And listening to the people that have done it before, the support group that we have, they said, Ian, it'll keep unraveling for the next 12 months. So I'm trusting in that information. And also trying to find words to explain what goes on and the transformation that occurs is a bit, yeah. And I was even told by one of the guys there that said, don't worry about the words will catch you up later. And that's the interesting thing as a human to go, I don't have words to explain the experience. So yeah, it's, gently, I still can connect back there now and it gives me a lot of support with the people that were there, I could say I've got some insights and insights are cute, they're lovely, but when you're interested in change and transformation and moving forward, insights are like, yeah, they're cute little, things along the way that make you feel warm and fuzzy, but they're not the real transformation. So it's still unfolding.
I get that. I went in 2023 and did the 4 ceremonies, and it was such a profound, discombobulating experience. Like, I just didn't even know what to do with any of it. And also the medicine like told me to do things that were totally insane. And I was like, why do I have to do this? Like, that's not okay. And I felt like I just needed to unpack it and like talk about it, but I couldn't because it was like so personal and just such a confusing experience, right? And then it works in such an ingenious way. And sometimes you see the ingenuity in the moment when it's happening. For example, I had like a physical issue that I've been pondering. I feel like it's a trauma response. I was thinking about it for like 3, 4 years since I started doing this work, and I could never figure out where that came from. And then it came up on the first day of medicine, like I was experiencing this physical issue. And then on the second day, I take my first cup, and immediately a memory comes that I was completely oblivious to when I was a kid. And this memory explained why I had this issue, but it also explained everything about my family and the relationships of all the members of my family to each other. Like, why is my father the way he is? Why my mother and my father have the relationship they have? Like, started understanding things about my grandfather that I never met because he died before I was born. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so that was like ingenuity that I could see, just observe like this. Like, how did you know? Like, how could you just take one memory and explain my entire life basically with this one single memory? Like, that's insane. And but then there's this ingenuity that is more subtle, so ingenious that our human brains can't quite comprehend. Last year after my experience, I was trying to integrate. It's so complex. I have no idea what any of it means. I'm like, somebody please explain. And then I moved to this house, and then this woman comes and she moves in with us. And she, of course, she spent like 2 years in Peru in the jungle drinking medicine and doing a course to become a shaman to facilitate medicine journeys. So she starts sharing some of her insights. And one day she was like, listen, Claire, not everything the medicine shows you is true. And sometimes it just needs to bring your attention to things. So, for example, it can use a face because that's the easiest way to make you pay attention or humanize or personalize certain qualities or lessons. And then sometimes it just uses like the closest face, or, sometimes it wraps the lesson in this way. And sometimes it like represents certain concepts, or it's going to make you do things, or, like it's really going to push you to think about certain things, and it's going to find the most efficient way to make you really pay attention. And that for me was such an important point. And so it was throughout the months and months and months of integrating this experience and trying to understand it that eventually I was understanding, like, wow, because of this, like I thought about this and I thought about this and I reevaluated this. And finally, like a few weeks after we left the jungle, I'm in the supermarket and there's a book right next to the cashier, and I heard about it and I never read it. And I was like, okay, like this book was literally screaming at me, like, please read me. So I bought it and then I started reading it, and it was explaining everything, providing context to the experiences that I had. And suddenly I felt like my entire construct of reality was falling apart in front of my eyes. And that's why I felt like I was going insane, because it was like everything I knew, everything I thought I knew about society, the human relationship, it all seems like that's not true. Like that's not the best way to organize our society, and that's not the best way to live. But so like if you've been living that way your whole life and everybody lives that way, like how do you now just start believing something completely different, right? So for me, that was extremely disorientating, and I know that it took months and months and months for me to process. And so when I went this year I only did 2 ceremonies, but I was thinking last year I had to integrate so much, and this year, like, I'm good. Like I left the jungle and I was good the next day. But I realized eventually, I thought, wow, like I think I'm still integrating the first time I went. And that, that's been over a year. I feel like that was so huge that I'm still like in a subtle way, like I don't sit and think about the experience, but I think it showed me who I truly am, or who my soul came here to be. And there's layers and layers and layers of conditioning that have caused me to be somebody else, to be a good girl, or to be this, to study hard, to do that, to behave in a certain way, to have certain beliefs. And peeling of the layers of the conditioning, or of, I should live this way, I should be this way, it takes time. And uncovering like, this is who I truly am. But like it takes time to find the courage to actually be that person in the world when you're scared of judgment or rejection. So I feel like I don't necessarily think about, oh, I'm integrating the experience, or, oh, this is what I learned and I should, act on it. But like you gradually step into that next version of you, or into that truer version of you, who you truly are. Like you gradually peel off the layers. And so the integration almost becomes like, okay, like now I choose to truly listen to the wisdom that I've learned, even though when you're on the medicine it makes so much sense, right? You come out of the medicine, it still makes so much sense, but then like days go by and weeks go by and you're back in your ordinary life, and then it's easy to be like, oh yeah, no, like that was like, no, whatever, right? Like that was a different experience. But I think there's really a courage to truly bring that through and be like, okay, like I'm really gonna be, yeah, it takes courage, no, to take that forward. I'm wondering if that resonates with you.
So I was exploring this just yesterday. I appreciate all the people that I've heard before try to explain an ayahuasca journey, because the mind's going to interpret the words that are said and going, oh yeah, is that all? Like, and not realize the depth of the experience. So, hey, see if you can follow along and play a game with me, right? So when we walk through life, we can call it a part or a mechanism. There's a mechanism of interpreting, right? We're interpreting the world through our old conditioning, through our whatever. It's the very thing that you and I do our best to do, to rest when we're coaching, so that we're not facilitating through our old conditioning. We're allowing, awareness in the field to help with the facilitation of coaching sessions. So feel into the interpreter in the world, and it's the one that's trying to interpret an ayahuasca journey, but from its old conditioning in the world, right? So when you go, if you take yourself back to the jungle, and I'll do the same thing, it's like almost instantly the interpreter is asleep, because going through an ayahuasca journey with the interpreter that you use for day-to-day life causes you more angst. It just makes the journey so much harder. And I found that for me, it is a real case of, they say surrender, but it's a real case of surrender, letting go. You're either in the experience or you're resisting it. And if you're trying to interpret it through the normal mechanisms that you do day to day, you're creating more resistance. This is how I'm sort of playing with it. It's making me tingle. And for me, what I notice is that the interpreter, I still remember my last day's journey. The interpretation, this is good or bad, is something happening? Is this changing anything? Like, the interpretation creates it fucking much a harder journey than just letting go into the experience as it is. So I remember the last day dropping into a depth, and I can still get there now, that I've never experienced before. I still can't logically explain to you what it means, what it relates to, what it does, but it's very dark and very peaceful and beyond conditioning and beyond anything, and I can still get there. But during that journey, I was going, oh fuck, this is bad. Oh no, because so much was going on, and there's vision. It's just fucking bizarre. And I had to, I at some point let all of that go, and all I kept saying was, this is new, this is new, this is new, and took out the interpretation of good, bad, right, wrong, means this, transformation, that, whatever, right? So then you're in the experience, and then come back to, and the interpreter stands back up again and goes, oh, well, now I need to interpret that experience and wrap it in a bow and stuff. And I think that's where we can get a bit caught. If you rest back into the experience and let the interpreter of the experience rest, and you can feel the body soften, and it just starts landing in the cells and landing down into the cells of the body. And to me, this is true transformation, not your aha moment. It's in the cells of the body that things change, and over time. Now, it doesn't fit in with a great marketing model of I did this and did that and my whole life changed and wrap it in a bow and here's my marketing model. Like, it doesn't fit into that. But as a life journey, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit, and the change happens in your day-to-day interaction. So and that's what I was playing with the other 2 days, is not to allow the interpreter with its old conditioning to try and interpret a new experience. The interpreter's not going to, like, the interpretation that we have of the world is not going to go away, but to try and allow it to rest and allow new information to come into it as well, so that we can live from the clarity that is here already. There you go. I don't know, does that answer your question? That was fun.
Wow, my dear listeners, isn't Ian amazing? That was so beautifully said. And if you're here listening and thinking, yes, me too, I want to soften. I want to be more in my body and feel more instead of always interpreting, then I have something for you. I created a free grounding meditation that will help you do just that. It gently grounds your body, calms your mind, and little by little helps you soothe and rewire your nervous system. To grab your free meditation, just head over to clairepoho.com/free-meditation or find the link in the show notes. All right, now let's go back to Ian. Where do we even go from there?
I'm very cautious of, I've had a couple of people, would you recommend an ayahuasca journey? And I said no.
Yeah.
And they
That's
said,
what I
what do
say.
you mean? What do you mean no? I said, if you don't get an intuitive insight to go, and you only go based on a recommendation of somebody else, you're going to be in for a wild ride because it's not it's not for the faint heart. It's not, it's not always rainbows and fucking unicorns. I did see some rainbows. I didn't see any unicorns, but it's confronting and it's well beyond uncomfortable. If you do choose to go and have an intuitive hit to go, please be very fussy. Now, I've done one, right? My first one. I have spoken to some people that have done others and listened to their journeys and have witnessed some people that have gone to ayahuasca retreats and come back almost, more traumatic. So you be very fussy on where you go, who you go with. Like, I'm so grateful I chose to go with you guys, with people that have done it before, with the guys that organise retreat. They've done it before many times. So the support from, and the people we went with have all done 3 or 4 years of deep inner somatic work. So the support from everybody else there was beyond immeasurable. So all of that packaged together made my trip, I say, nicer. It was well supported. Now, I've heard of people that go and sit in a teepee, fill them up on medicine, one journey, and away you go. And they just leave you there until you're finished. Without the support afterwards, which we also got, without the support afterwards, that can create a real disorientation for getting back into the real world. And, maybe that's their journey in life. Maybe they like to do it through, let's grow through suffering. That seems to be a human thing.
Yeah.
I find it hard to let that one go too. But but yeah, be very fussy. Like, I heard of people over in the States doing them in, these big houses in square rooms and whatever. And I couldn't, like, it just, ooh, yuck. Big white walls and, hundreds of people. And yeah, I love where we went. I love the sacredness of it. I love that there's an honoring of it. That to me was very special.
Yeah.
I've done many things over the years, right? But the one I was talking about, resistance, that the space that was held for that was amazing. So I had a little bit of prep work, I guess, with a well supported journey. I was prepared a little bit for, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to not make sense. It's like I had a little bit of insight into that. To the depth of this, probably not. But I'm a different person now, so it's different. Be very fussy. My concern with a lot of this stuff is when something becomes mainstream, it loses a bit of its integrity and its sacredness, and it's just like, oh yeah, I just had a plant medicine yesterday, and I'm going, there's a sacred, to me, a sacredness to it, about connecting back, connecting with Earth, connecting with the universe. Like the fabric of the universe opens up when all of your faculties are taken away a little bit. It's very different. Yeah, what a ride!
Yeah.
It'll be fun, they said.
Yeah. I say the exact same thing. People are like, how was your experience? And I'm like, absolutely fucking changed my life. Best experience of my life. Just so glad I went, right? But then I'm like, okay, yeah, so you'd recommend. I'm like, no, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Feel
Anyone.
called or not.
I can't. Yeah, like you have to feel called. And also just like you've said, like, we've done what, like 4 years of this deep, deep, deep inner work where I've sat with so much discomfort, so much terror and panic and dread and, sickness and fear and shame and guilt and all the things, right? In my system that finally, I've had a lot of physical discomfort on one of the days, on the first day last year. But then on another day, I was just like shaking in unbearable, orgasmic, ecstatic bliss, right? And I feel like the medicine was like, oh, like
I
you've
remember.
experienced you. I think it was last year. Last year it was even better. You haven't
I was
experienced that, but
okay.
this year
Yeah,
this
well,
year was fun too.
Yeah. We're all sitting around going, we want what she's having.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like the medicine was like, you know how to suffer, like, you know how to have a hard time. Like, okay, like, let me show you what else is possible, right? And finally, it was uncomfortable. I was like, I can't take this. I can't take this much pleasure. Like, it's too much. Like, I just can't hold it. I felt like it was at the edge of the capacity of my nervous system, frankly. Like I was like, I can't take it, but it was really at the verge of not being able to take it, but I was. So it was like, this is really teaching me to expand my capacity. And so I was really in this practice and I was just like, expand, 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 like I can't, like I just and constantly repeating to myself, like, you can, you can, you can, you can't take this. Short and sweet interruption if you're listening to this and also going, I want what she's having. More aliveness, more joy, more pleasure, more lovegasms, more radiance. Then I want to invite you to try my free grounding meditation. It's a simple but powerful tool to help you feel rock solid stable in your body and gently expand your nervous system capacity so that you can feel more, receive more, and love more without frying your nervous system. You can grab it at clairepoho.com/free-meditation or just click in the link in the show notes. Okay, back to the story. And it was exhausting, but just to say, it's going to challenge you. And my biggest challenge last year was on a mental level. Like it just showed me things that were supposedly my future. And I was like, what the fuck does any of this mean? And it was way too out there. And now I have a different understanding. Now I know that it was pointing to things and it was challenging me and forcing me to consider things from a trillion different angles. And through that, I learned so many different things and considered so many different things in so many different aspects of life just because of having this one experience that was so shocking that I like thought about a trillion different facets of this thing that it like had me realize not just truly like the multi-dimensional nature of reality, truly. But at a moment when I was there, and I remember one of our mentors, he was like, if something you see on ayahuasca looks true, it's true in real life. And I'm like, no, like what the fuck does that mean? And so I was really just mentally, I was so challenged, right? And so you could be challenged in so many different ways. You could be challenged physically, you could be challenged emotionally, you could experience a lot of darkness, you could go through depression, you could, see, I don't know, the apocalypse of the world, you could see the meaninglessness of life. Like this woman that moved in with me did a lot of medicine. She said one of her hardest ceremonies, she was experiencing the starvation that her ancestors lived through, and she literally was being eaten alive by like maggots because she was like starving. She was like, that was like the worst thing I've ever experienced. And it just felt so real. Like I'm just being devoured. So it could be so challenging on any level, truly, like emotional, physical. You just don't know. So what Ian said, can't recommend it. Not for the faint of heart. Be very picky where you go. You need to feel ready. Please, if you go, only go if you've done a certain amount of work, because we have been doing work and continue to do work, and we're integrating and we continue to do work. It's not something you go, you have one experience, it changes your life, done. No, it's not. Exactly like Ian was saying, it's a process, and it's something you add to your process when you're already committed. You're on this journey of personal development and healing and human evolution, and this accelerates it. But you need to be already on that path and be ready to do the work, because it's the medicine's not going to do the work for you. It shows you how to do work better and more efficiently, I would say, but you need to be ready to do the work.
Yeah, I think it's definitely has an intensity to it. And look, in my life, I have softened to the point that I'm looking at a new contract, and I'm going, why am I a bit reluctant? I'm going, I'm really enjoying the gentleness of how I operate in the world now. I don't want to create anything that creates a hustle and bustle and run on my adrenals. I used to love it, but now I really enjoy the gentleness of
Mm-hmm.
life. You can talk to many people, and some people could live in bliss, and this is lovely, and all the rest of it, And I did ask a couple of the guys that were there with us, why do you keep doing this? Because they've done it every year they've done many, and they said, well, because I can. Um, and it's like there's something beautiful in that also. That You know, some people do it not just for their own personal, but for a collective purging, for a collective release. But to point to what you're saying, like one of the, I can't remember all of my intention. Each journey had an intention, but I remember walking into the sacred space, and every time I'd walk and say, "Please be gentle with me." You know, I've been harsh on myself for a long time. I'm, still
Mm.
practicing being gentle on myself. And I'm like, fuck, if that was gentle, I'm glad I didn't witness harsh. But when you said about the acceleration, an easy analogy, one of the ladies that came with us had a fear of migraines because she used to get really bad migraines. So leading into the retreat, she had a fear of getting a migraine. And because she hadn't sat with that and worked through that, guess what turned up on day one? She got the worst migraine. And to the point that it was really hard for the rest of us to watch. She knew that we knew that it was for her growth and she would move through it and come out the other side amazing. But to watch someone go through it at that intensity was not pleasant. Was not like you go, and
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do.
I have chills all over my body as you say that. Like I
And
forgot
her,
about that, and now you're bringing me back to that.
the courage for that lady was fucking beyond. It was just phenomenal, just amazing. And she's moved through that and worked through it. So it will ramp anything that you haven't worked through or looked at or have looked at but haven't, it will bring it to the surface. And you will experience it whether you want to or not. I can remember snippets of different days, and the last day was to also put a bit of a spin at the end of every day through the journey with having everybody interact. And some of the things that stay with me beyond that do work in the real world. That there was a moment with that particular lady, for example, where she needed support, called out for support, and there's like four of us, right? And we talk about this in life. I hear this a lot. Oh, your unique gifts. But what the fuck does that look like? Well, I saw what it looked like. The experience of everybody was just themselves. So in your gift, to me, starting to learn is it's not about a fancy fucking, fireball, though I'm pretty good at that these days. But it's actually about just being fully permission to be yourself. And yes, including all of your fucking conditioning, because that's what's here right now, right? And everybody was just themselves because when you're in it takes away all of the other bullshit, that we put on top of things it just takes that all away. So it's like fucking gone. Whether you wanted to or not, it's gone. And it was so beautiful because I remember asking everyone afterwards. It was so beautiful watching the dance of everybody supporting this one person, right? That was challenged and struggling, but nobody was fighting to help them more. It's like it was a beautiful dance of now it's your turn. Okay, now you fit in there. Someone a bit more experienced come in and ask some questions here. Notice the support from here and here. And I was in awe of. And afterwards, I said, why the fuck don't we do this in life more? Why do we not just work with each other, allow our gifts to support where needed? And that has stuck with me. Because in life, we're too busy fucking fighting over the top of each other, trying to win or make more money or whatever. It's like, well,
Trying to
how the fuck?
show I know this better. I understand this shit. Look, I have a gift.
And it wasn't there. It was such fucking a beautiful moment of watching people, and I'm like, why the fuck is? And I remember one of the guys said, "Fuck it, that's a great question." Like there's no fight. We're not fighting with each other. There's nothing to prove, and we're all supporting this lady who needed our help. It was just fucking amazing. As there was some moments with the right people after the journey that was. I got some support. I needed some support. I actually got to support a couple of our mentors, which was fucking beautiful as well, because there's no hierarchy,
There's
man.
no
Yeah,
hierarchy.
sure. A couple of people have had more journeys, so they have a little bit more expertise about what happens and whatever, which is beautiful. But it just all of that, like, fuck, and and with the right fuck, did we laugh? Did we laugh at the end of every day? Fuck, we laugh. And it takes away all of the doubt because I'm just noticing I'm a bit reluctant to say the next piece because you hear all the time on the internet about codex and codes and all sorts of stuff, right? And I had an experience, and I'm like, fucking, we know the world's energy, but is that a bit wanky? Fucking, how does that fit into real life? One of the ladies there I'd spoken to was talking to something about her husband. And at the start of the week, I said, leave that with me because I've got something like that running. Let me see what I can uncover over the week. I sat with her, a codec, an energetic imprint that I discovered through my journey, and I gave it to her to take home to her husband. Now that sounds really even to my mind, I'm going, that sounds a bit weird, but that's what happened. She took it home. I said, here's the image that I get. It's his work to do. Here's the codec. And it offered some support to her husband when she got home. Now, yep, to everyone listening on, that's going to sound, fuck, that's weird. And yep, but fuck, it was just like, ooh. It was clear as, like there was no doubt around it. It was no nothing. It was as clear as. She received it. She felt it. Yep. And I'm like, and I want to work my movement forward in anything that I choose to do is just to honor that actually is here and exists. Like the doubt part can stay, but we've been doubting this stuff for too long. And one of the things happened the other day, I have a little interpreter, I have a little part that's constantly looking for, see, it's not working. All your inner work's not working, nothing's. So the other day, through one of my meditations, I was like, I love you, and you're welcome to stay as part of the whole, but I've got a new job for you. Your job is to now look for things that are working. You've done an amazing job on letting me know of all the ways that things don't work. We're now on a journey to go, what works for Ian? Let's go looking for those. That pattern has hung around for way too long and I haven't worked out how to. And that came to me the other day to go, okay, I'm tired now. I'm doing the best I can, despite what the internet tells me that there's always something I'm doing wrong. So I have a bit of a pet hate about the current inner work community, self-help community, where the first marketing line is you're doing something wrong. So if you're listening to this, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing the best you can with what you know and what you've got. Anybody that leads with you doing something wrong, fucking run the other way. As I would suggest trying to get you to an aha moment that is cute, but doesn't transform anything. Yeah, I'm a bit, and fucking, I'm not the expert. This has just been my journey. My journey's been continued, lifelong. I haven't been doing this for 1 week. I've been journeying, doing different things for a very long time. And we always only are where we are. But only always. I don't know how to get it. It felt like I wanted to say that.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I find when you're there, like the medicine just strips away so much of the bullshit, like that moment you were describing when you were all supporting one person in such a beautiful way. What I've experienced is beautiful, right? When you go with a group of people and you have met at least online or at least, a little bit before, and this group particularly, like really, it is like family, right? And there is a deep sense of trust and connection and almost like purpose and mission. And then I find when you're there and everybody has the medicine in their system, all of the bullshit just falls away and everybody's like real core essence comes through. And other people also, because they're also on medicine, right? But even they see you. They see the real you. And for me, I think that was one of the most beautiful experiences was to be so seen for who I truly am, and witnessing new, like seeing myself in a new way, and being in a way that perhaps, under different circumstances, without the medicine, without the context, I would be feeling like, why am I being this way? Like, that's, people are going to judge me, people are going to reject me for that. And on the contrary, like, it was received so beautifully. Like, I remember last year, I was asking people, like, I needed water, and then I was like sitting at the table in a place where I couldn't stand up, and I constantly had to ask somebody to bring me something. Or another day, I was in the jungle needing a tissue, and people are like, I don't have a tissue, but I'm gonna go get you one, just like that. I felt like people were just keep like bringing me things and giving me things, and then I was like asking for things so naturally, and there was a voice in my head. It was like, why are you like so needy, or like, why are you, like asking for so many things? Somehow it was just natural. Everybody was like just in such a beautiful, like, yeah, of course, I'd love to get that for you. And then at the end of the week, one of the ladies there, she actually approached me. She said, Claire, I've loved watching you. I remember the exact wording that she said, but she commented on particularly that quality. And she was like, I love that, and I'm learning from you. And it was something new for me too. And it was natural in that moment, but I was, witnessing that. Had that been in a normal circumstance without the medicine in a different social context, like, I would have been completely judging myself for like, why are you asking somebody? Just like stand up and go get it? And that's just like one example that comes to mind right now. But I think in so many different ways, you see yourself, and people see you as you truly are in so many different ways. And it's so encouraging, and it's so beautiful, because it's almost like those parts of ourselves that we've rejected, and then we want to reject and hide because we think, oh, if I'm like this, nobody's gonna like me. But actually, people see that and they love that, and they bring it forward, and they even encourage it in you. And there's this beautiful dance of people coming together unashamed, sharing their gifts, not because they want to show off, but also not hiding them because they're afraid to be too much or whatever. And there's just this beautiful interplay of like, yeah, this is me, and it's actually my gift. Like, when I am most me, unashamed, like, not hiding anything, with all the parts of me, and I bring it forward, it's actually my gift. And when I'm in my gift, I can help you the most. But sometimes, or for some people, all of the time, we just hide that. We hide our gifts because we're ashamed of that part of ourselves.
I'll follow on the thread. This is sort of a beautiful learning, I think, for us all. Asking for support. And I think part of the challenge of asking for support is actually we don't want to be coached. We don't want to be told how to fix it. Everybody talks about this, but you and I have trained ourselves to know how to do it, right? As in, I have coaching sessions that there's like 5-10 minutes of talking, and the rest of the time it's silent, because people just want someone to hold space for them. And what's interesting is what you pointed to there. Asking for support means you're needy. And inherently, so what if it is? Who gives a fuck? We've just made needy out to be bad. But asking for support, on the last day, and I'm using my own examples, through the journey of the last day, it was tough. It was like, and one of the ladies, the beautiful Andrea, had finished the depth of her journey where she was at, and she was great. So I put my hand up and said, can you? And she fucking sat there and just sat there while I went through my journey. I said, I just need someone I know. Now, there was 2 other guys I was reaching out to energetically because they'd been through this before, and I just needed something to hold on to energetically. I also was reaching out a hand to my wife, who was back here in Australia, and I could send you the message that she sent me at the end of that day, because I sent her a message, said, thank you for your support today. And her response was, she was down in the fucking ground holding space. That level of support we don't ask for, especially us that do coaching and all the rest of it, because we're supposed to, perceive, have all our shit together. And I would offer those that do coaching, that do their inner work, actually recognize I don't have all this shit together. But the level of support, and for me to ask for it, and say, fuck, this is, because my faculties had got, like, it was just so new where I was taken. And, you know, even when I was supporting someone else who'd done this many times before, it would seem aggressive, like when you're clear about what you want. No, I need that. Okay, stand there. But when you're there and people are directly asking for support, what they need, stand there. Don't say anything. Do this. Go there. Find the groundless ground. Whatever's required, you just do it, because it's not about looking good, not looking good. It's just about fucking, that's the support that's needed. So getting clear about, this is the support I need right now. And I remember on the end of the day, I had a pretty big bag, and they were carrying it up. We had to walk, you know, back up that hill to the cars and stuff. I was still a bit frazzled. I had it like, the last day was apparently supposed to be a gentle day generally, and we had people popping off everywhere, and I went into a 5-hour fucking journey. Like, it was a long time to be 4 hours. Yeah, anyway, a decent number. And I actually asked one of the guys, can you carry my bag up, please? And I took a little backpack rather than my heavy sort of suitcasey thing. And it's like, even to ask for that, I'm a bloke, I'm fit, I'm strong, I can carry my own fucking bag. I needed help, man. I was feeling so under-resourced, so not full of, and so to ask for support, because I don't have the capacity right now, I could push through and fucking just get on with it. Why? It was such a learning. All of that was a learning for me, watching people, even the people that have coached me for years, reach out for support. Like, and specifically call out, have you resourced right now? I need some fucking help. And you go, fuck yeah, I'm there. It was just like, because the hierarchy drops. Man, it's just people. We're humans, right? Sure, we offer a service, we help and all that, but we're human. So yeah, that support one's really easy. And then when you ask a group of people, who here loves helping people, and the whole audience puts their fucking hand up, who here asks for support, would love support, and nobody puts their fucking hand up. It's like, well, we've got an imbalance in the whole of society, whereas everybody likes offering help, but nobody wants any. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't complete the cycle of living. It doesn't satisfy life. Nature doesn't work like that. Nature, water supports the soil, which supports the nutrients, supports the roots. Like, everything is supporting and giving everything else. The trees give the birds, but it needs support. Like, nature works in a give and receive at the same time. It works together. There's support when things are tough. Even when they're not, but when things are tough, and that's the time when people don't reach out the most. When things are tough, people don't want to hear that I'm a mess right now. You know, all of that drops away, right? Yeah, it's fascinating.
You know, it's funny. I just remembered. I think the first time you and I ever interacted, we didn't know each other at all. So in our community, we have this group chat, which is kind of like a support hotline where you can ask for somebody to just meditate with you, or you can ask specifically for support when you're going through a tough experience. And I remember it was like 3 years ago already, and I had just found out that a friend of mine had taken his life.
I remember.
And it stirred so much in me, because at that point in time, I was really needing some space for myself, and I didn't know that he wasn't feeling well. And then I never had a chance to connect with him again. So it just really hit me, and I didn't even know what to do with myself in the moment when I just found out so suddenly from somebody I didn't even know. And I just need support. I just need support. And I reached out and I was like, I need support. And you responded, you were like, yeah, I can sit with you. Then I joined this call with this person whose face I had never seen before. And I just said like, oh, this just happened. And then I just sat there for, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And I just cried without saying a single word. And can you imagine you just connect with a stranger for the first time ever and you're like, that's, you don't even know where in the world they are. You don't know anything about them. And you're like, this thing just happened to me. And you just start crying without saying anything. And they're just sitting there. And you're like, is this totally weird? Like, am I totally, bothering this person, or am I too much? Or do I need to explain more? Do I need to talk to them? But you don't. And you just get to receive the support. And that is truly, truly life changing because it rewires your nervous system, because your conditioning, your experience of life thus far has taught you that it's not okay to be needy, to receive support, to ask like that, to just impose your experience almost on somebody's like, hey, I'm just gonna cry now. Thank you for being here. I need you. It's weird. But then when you actually get to do that and somebody gets to support you like that with no judgment, just love and presence, it is truly life changing because it truly starts rewiring your nervous system. It's like, oh, it could be okay. It could actually be safe. People are not going to reject me. They're not going to, I'm not going to be ridiculed or yeah, like it's actually safe to just show up like that. Yeah.
I remember that. It was beautiful. It's somehow very sacred and an honor to hold space for people.
Yeah.
And I probably should preface that with, it's the space that we hold and what we offer is it's not a complaint fest. People are on a growth trajectory and need support in the current experience that they're moving through. And I know I have, what everyone else has shoved down emotions and whatever over the years because of insert society, whatever here. I've had coaches that cried for 50 minutes in one session, just needed to release. And there's something so beautiful in being able to just be present for that. And nothing I could say would add any benefit to the experience that they're going through to release what they're releasing. I've always felt like a very lucky man to be able to coach people that I have at the level that I have.
Yeah.
The stuff that people have shared with me, some of humans really shouldn't go through what some of us have gone through. However, here we are. And the honesty that comes out at that level, Claire. And you and I have had some laughs in some of our sessions and bringing some humour in, try not to take it all too seriously. But yeah, there's something profound in the simplicity of just being present and honest. Because that's what it is, right? There's a presence and honesty. I've just lost somebody. Fucking, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I actually would rather that than the sort of the premise of trying to be a spiritual robot. And I've played that game a little bit. I'm guilty of that. I must say the right words, don't use the word should, don't use it, make sure you do this, do it that way. It's fucking exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
But yet somehow holding space in their present experience without the interpreter in awareness to allow awareness to do the work because it's far more powerful than I am as a human. Is just, there's something so profound about it. I still pinch myself, go, fuck, is this real? Am I really helping? Is there anything really happening? And yet somehow things change, things move through. It's beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful thing I can offer. I love that part of my life. It's lovely.
Thank you so much for all the beautiful shares.
Pleasure.
Any final words or stories?
I don't think so. I just continue on and live present, appreciate what I've got. I'm really enjoying the slowing down bit actually, and I'm sort of going, okay, now that I've slowed down, what does creation look like for me? What would I like to? Would I like to create something new? What would that look like? I don't have any answers yet. I enjoy what I do generally. I do multiple things. I'm just sort of in a gentle way. What would I like to participate in next, or create next. I've trained myself slowly to just do it gently, to not rush it, not to get anywhere, but just as an exploration, a curiosity.
I'm feeling that a lot these past few weeks, slowing down. And I was just chatting to somebody else who came with us to the jungle this October. And he's saying the same. He's like, yeah, I've had a lot of connection with my spirit guides lately. And I just keep getting the message like, you're not supposed to be doing anything right now. Just call in your power and just take it slow. And the more you slow down, the more things are going to flow through. And he's really been experiencing that. And I remember I was having this conversation with him when I was kind of in a frustrated place. I did this thing, but I didn't do it well enough, or my progress isn't fast enough. And he's sharing all these deep insights with me. And there's a part of me that knows, that has known for such a long time that this is true. And that is like, thank you for the reminder. And then there's this other part of me that's like, but you don't understand. It's been too long. Like, I need to just get. It's fun, right? Just to observe the mind. It's always going to be there somewhere in the back of the mind that, like, shouldn't you be doing more after all? Is that really for you, the slowing down? But I have a lot of appreciation for people who are really mastering the art of slowing down and truly being present.
Make love and gentleness the new wave. Hashtag that, fuckers. There you go.
Wow. There you go. Let's go start a movement, motherfuckers. Yeah. Isn't he amazing? There's certainly an intensity to him, sometimes fiery, sarcastic, other times just making goofy boy jokes. And then suddenly he cracks you open with his depth and tenderness and softness that just melts you. I personally teared up a few times just listening to him and feeling him as I was editing this episode. And you know what I love about him the most? That he's not afraid of showing any of it. There's no performance, no hiding, no pretending, just radical authenticity. And to me, that's real confidence and real masculinity. And that's the kind of men I surround myself with, the kind of men that make me feel safe and also that allow me to step into my full feminine depths. And when we're playing in that territory, life gets fun. Yeah. And you know what? I really want there to be more men like that in this world. And so you may know that my group programs are a sacred space for women, but I'm deeply desiring to work with more men as well. And so I'm opening 3 private coaching spots for men because I want you to land in a container where both your fire and your softness are welcome, where you explore your edges, your shadows, your brilliance, your drive or lack of it, your sexuality, your grief, your joy, a space where all parts of you can come to play. Because yeah, let's play, let's explore without any expectations, no shame, no judgment, just pure presence. If you're ready to explore that with me, reach out to me on Instagram at The Radiance Queen or send me an email to claire@clairepoho.com and let's have a conversation. Jump on a call and see if it's a fit. And if this episode lit you up or, like me, made you both laugh and cry, subscribe to Raw, Real, and Radiant so that you can get more realness and radiance in real time. And leave a review to help us spread this new wave because, yeah, we're making love and gentleness the new wave with some motherfucking fire, of course. All right. Thank you for being here. I love you loads, and I see you next time.